could potentially lose your save file, but like I don't know. I feel like if it can run, and apparently they've even like gone so 4 players simultaneous split screen co-op on Series X, but then also like they've gotten it working 2-player on the like original Xbox One.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah. Right? Like that just seems wild to me that they would I don't know.
It's interesting because they're still keeping co-op. You're still going to be able to do it online. You're not going to have the couch co-op experience. And they've claimed it is specifically for them to get out more content and be able to focus more on that, which is something the game sorely needs. But at this cost?
Well, and so like I don't know I don't know what their plan is. They've kind of they say that they're trying to figure out, okay, we're going to focus on the live service aspect of it. But like I don't think that they know how to make a live service game. I think that is Halo Infinite. I think that's Halo Infinite's biggest problem is 343 doesn't know how to do a live service game.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, as we've seen from like tons of other games, like that's not something you can just easily pick up and run with. Like Destiny had to have Destiny 1 before releasing Destiny 2.
Right, exactly. And I mean, Destiny 1 was so much better than Halo Infinite has been, and it still had its problems.
Yeah, no, it had a ton of issues, especially as a games as a service at launch. Raid people, were upset about because it's like, okay, yeah, this is awesome content, but there's no matchmaking, and so it's hard to get into, and there's just the one.
And I mean, then you look at Ubisoft had the same thing. Like Division 1 was like not great. Division 2 stepped it up, and honestly, people are still playing Division 2. I don't know.
But no one's playing Anthem.
No,
Damn it! Don't rub salt in that old wound.
Yeah, no. So like, I don't know what is okay. So this got me Ethan sent me something this week that like got me thinking. Is Phil Spencer buying Activision to have a bunch of studios that can make good first person shooters so that he can move Halo off of 343?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, at the very least, I feel like some cross-training and, have this studio help out 343 is something that just, like, makes absolute logical sense. Because, this is the, second, third launch that 343 is just completely fucked up?
Well, Halo 4, I don't think was totally... Oh, no, you know what? Master Chief Collection was blown.
That's what I was talking about, is Master Chief Collection and 5.
And then Halo 5 was kind of blown. I don't know. Was Halo 5 blown? Like, Halo 5 was...
I mean, yeah, the story was widely regarded as, like, pretty awful on release.
I mean, it still is. That's the thing, though, is, like, they didn't change the story. Like, Halo 5 hasn't really undergone any major changes. It just came out and it was what it was.
Yeah.
And we've kind of been through that, Ethan, how, like, we're seeing the cycle of Halo of like, now that Halo Infinite is out, I'm looking at Halo 5 and I'm like, not that bad.
Yeah. Although, contrary to the whole idea of like the cycle, like honestly, this feels like just Infinite is lowering the bar that much that, now in comparison, 5 is good versus the like, Halo 2.
Right,
or
exactly.
The cycle, it's like
it's actually appreciating a good game.
Yeah, and like having the conclusion to that story makes the story told in 2 better.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I don't know. So like looking at, Infinity Ward does the Modern Warfare series, Treyarch does the Black Ops series, Sledgehammer has kind of been relegated. They've been like kind of demoted almost to the point that they don't do their own games anymore, right? So World War II, Sledgehammer did World War II, and that game did not do particularly well. And Like, do we see Sledgehammer? Do we see the like 343? Because I understand like the naming importance of 343, like the symbolically it's important.
Yeah.
But like, do we see 343 just basically absorb Sledgehammer and like Sledgehammer comes in and kind of lives in the carcass of 343 and pretends to be 343?
I mean, honestly, what almost somewhat hope happens is that, yeah, they don't get absorbed by 343 because, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit outside the podcast, but like it seems like the issue at 343 is the management. So it's like, no, I don't want to put any more devs inside 343. I want them like working outside, like maybe, you know, being whatchamacallit, because like COD seemingly has the like games as a service providing a good stream of content down. So if you can have one of those devs working on that aspect of Halo Infinite, they'll knock it out of the park, and they don't need to necessarily be like under the management of 343 to do that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe just bring some leadership from like Sledgehammer over and be like, okay, now you guys are like creating the roadmap, making like setting the milestones, making like managing the development of this content so that we get this content out on time, like enough content out in a like a decent time frame. Because ultimately, like one of the best parts of Halo Infinite is that it does feel like Halo 3, right? So I don't know. Do they is the answer just a radical change in management, which by the way, they've already done.
Yeah, what are you talking about specifically? Like the change in management one?
Joseph Staten.
Oh, yeah.
So bringing Staten back in and they're leaning hard into Joseph Staten right now. Like he is very much the face of 343 right now. I don't know. What do you think, Tim?
I don't. The whole thing's a mess. Like since launch, it only launched with multiplayer. Then you got what week or a month later? I can't remember how long it was. But then you got the campaign that honestly wasn't very good.
No, it was bad.
Then we got promises in January that would be seeing co-op and Forge by the end of summer. Guess what? It is now the end of summer. And
well, there were promises in January, or there were promises in February, because remember they were supposed to tell us in January, but they apparently can't even communicate on time.
Correct. They didn't get something else. And then it was supposed to be May initially that we were supposed to be seeing stuff at the end of the first season?
It was supposed to be May that we were going to be getting season 2 along with co-op and Forge. It's still season 2. And it sounds like, by the way, that's a whole nother thing for us to go into is how long season 2 is going to be. But we still don't have co-op. We still don't have Forge. And we like they're being test flight. Like they're doing test flights with those. But like we don't know when we're going to get to play them. That's concerning to me.
Yep.
Now, I'm never going to be one to complain for more content, but when you're having so much trouble with Infinite, and I don't know if you guys know this, Master Chief Collection just got a huge update in the past couple weeks with a bunch of new like armor and stuff for customization. Why are you spending resources on Master Chief Collection, a game that is, 8 years old now?
Yeah.
Almost 10 years old? Yeah, sure, a lot of people are playing it, but you need to be focusing on your new
game. Right. Focus on your new game. And I don't know. I appreciate and I honestly I appreciate them continuing to work on Master Chief Collection. I want that game to continue to have a skeleton crew on it basically forever, because that is such an incredible way to keep those games relevant and keep and preserve those games in a really meaningful and active way. And I really love that because I love those Halo games. But I agree with you, Tim. I think that we are at the point where it's we're looking at 2023 before season 3 starts. And so so season 2 is going to end up have been like, what, 10 months? That's ridiculous.
Something like that. Yeah. Like the lack of content coming out for Infinite is killing it.
Yeah.
And the lack of content that it had to begin with already killed it, but they're not doing it any favors.
Yeah. And so, I mean, like I was watching Review Tech USA talk about this earlier today, and something he mentioned was like, it kind of sounds insane, but like, what if they had delayed the game another year?
Mm-hmm.
And like, if they had delayed the game another year and we were getting ready for Halo Infinite this November, and then, yes, it's 2 years. It would have been 2 years after the Series X launched, but they could have gotten away with it just being a Series X, Series S game versus having to have it on Xbox One. And by the way, like, because they were talking about, oh, this is going to be like a 10-year platform. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that they're really going to support the Xbox One for another 9 years?
God, no. I hope not. They really shouldn't. Yeah. Like, it's last series console. Like, 2 or 3 years into the new console release of the Series X, they should be abandoning that. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely imagine something similar happening to, I think, what happened with Destiny, of like, that was another game that was released across 2 generations of consoles, and like, eventually there were some updates that came out, and they're like, so this update is coming out for the new generation of consoles, but the old generation can't support it. Sorry.
So I see what you're saying, and by the way, GTA 5 did basically the exact same thing. Until eventually they just shut the old generation down. Yeah. Counterpoint, crossplay. Because Xbox One plays with Series and plays with PC. And so, like, Xbox One it's not like a second-class citizen of Halo Infinite. It is fully fledged. This is it. And so I think that they would either have to, at some point, just separate it and say, okay, Halo Infinite exists on Series and PC, and then there is a different version of Halo Infinite that exists on Xbox One, and then start to treat it like that second-class citizen of Halo Infinite until eventually just, pull the cord.
Yeah. And, I mean, I could easily just see a thing of, like, okay, like, we're adding new content to the game, but, like, you just can't access any of the maps or whatever that have that new content if you're on Xbox One still.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. If they were going to do that, why didn't they do that now with co-op?
I mean, it definitely seems like for co-op, like, well, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of spitballing. It sort of feels like co-op, they're just like, okay, we're just not focusing on this because the most important thing to us is to make sure that the Infinite multiplayer stays, popular and populated with fresh content. Like, I mean, it somewhat makes sense, despite the fact it's insane, not hypocrisy, but just insane that they would be like, oh yeah, after Halo 5, we learned our lesson, split screen co-op's gonna be a big deal. Oh wait, JK, we're canceling it for Halo Infinite after saying we would do it. But on the other hand, it's like, okay, realistically, Infinite's campaign is not good enough that people are going to be, like, replaying that over and over. I feel like if and when, honestly, co-op comes out, like, people are going to go back in to do, like, maybe one co-op playthrough with their friends and then drop it.
Yeah.
So it's like...
How much is it worth it?
Yeah.
Tim, do you think this
Exactly.
is about resources?
I mean, it definitely seems like they're not allocating their resources correctly. Like, as I mentioned earlier, they're still doing stuff for Master Chief Collection. Not that I'm going to complain about that because the game is great, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
if you're trying to develop for 2 consoles, I'm trying to find the numbers here. About how
Gotcha.
many players are on Xbox One versus Series X and PC.
That
I'm gonna
would be
guess is, like,
interesting.
Which I'm
Yeah.
guessing is going to be a fraction, probably like 5%, maybe. But
of players are on Xbox One.
yeah, that are still playing.
See, I think that it's probably pretty even. I think that it's probably pretty even. Pretty evenly distributed because I have played Halo Infinite on an Xbox One and it plays well. Like it works very well. I don't know. It's just it's a difficult situation, and like Tim, I totally agree about like they are not allocating their resources well, and I think Ethan, you know, we've talked about it in the past. We've said a million times that the problem is with the leadership at 343.
Yeah.
The developers have talent, and I mean they made gameplay that feels like Halo.
Yeah. And feels fantastic.
Yeah, and they made art that looks like Halo. And so like Infinite is arguably the best looking and the best feeling Halo game. I'm not, you know what? I'm not going to say that. Halo 2 Anniversary I think is the best looking Halo game. But like arguably the best feeling Halo game, and like if they can do that but it's still like on life support and has been basically all year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's a problem with leadership, and that's
Yeah.
I've always been a really big advocate for Bonnie Ross. I have always really liked her because I've always felt that at the core she really understands what makes Halo great. I think that at this point they got to drop Bonnie Ross, they got to drop Joseph Staten. They need to just go in and start axing people.
Yeah, potentially. I'm still not convinced about Staten getting axed because I definitely feel like it's like, okay, you threw him in too late to reverse the course of the ship.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, it's a shitty situation. Clearly, they can't manage budgets and timelines well. I still like I hate it, but I still get how they're allocating resources in terms of it's a like it does feel like it's like, okay, they're putting more resources to what's working right now. People love the Master Chief Collection. Okay, put more resources to support that, even though it is a 10-year-old game. The multiplayer can be saved if they can get out a good amount of fresh content periodically coming to it. Because the core gameplay, like we've said, is really, really good. So, like, if they can get that content up, they can absolutely salvage multiplayer. Co-op isn't going to save the campaign, is the unfortunate truth, I feel like.
Yeah, okay. I agree that, like, I don't know. I think that the fact that they just made such a shitty campaign is really what, like, more people playing that doesn't make it good. And I think, like, that's what you're saying, Ethan, is that more people playing a bad campaign doesn't make it not a bad campaign. It's still bad.
And not to mention, I feel like you would get a brief influx of people playing it of like, oh, yay, I can finally play this co-op with my friends. And then they're going to get maybe partway through a playthrough or through one whole playthrough and then be like, okay, that, wasn't substantially better with the addition of co-op. Anyway.
Well, and on
like
top
this
of that,
ever again.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Like, I'm in the opposite camp. Like, I feel like co-op is actually going to make the Infinite campaign better because you have a huge open world to play around with. If you have multiple friends, you could just go out and do stupid stuff. You don't actually have to, like, play through the campaign. Heck,
Yeah.
you could just start
That's true.
chucking fusion coils at each other and latching onto them, playing catch until one of you fucks up.
Yeah,
I
that's true.
Like,
yeah. I guess I go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
nah, you're good. I think there's a lot more fun you could have in that open world with multiple people. I don't think it's gonna save the story any, but I think it is going to improve the experience.
Yes, I agree with you on that. I think that the sandbox would be more fun with more people. I think it's still limited because even the online co-op test flights have demonstrated that you're still tethered to each other. You don't get to just go anywhere you want, and like one of you is on the entirely opposite side of the map. I think that if you could roam freely in the map with like 4 people, even if it were only online, I think that would be fun. That would kind of almost like a hide and seek type thing. That could make for some fun memories. Just existing in an open world Halo together. That's something we've never done before. But I think that the tether kills a lot of that potential. And then also I'm gonna point out, Tim, what you're saying is more people in the sandbox makes the sandbox more fun. And I definitely agree with you on that. And like, I think that we all agree on that. And we also all agree that it still doesn't make the story or the level design any better. And the story and the level design suck. So it would be very much like a create your own fun. But also something that we have to keep in mind is that co-op didn't get canceled, just split screen co-op. And so it is a subsect of a subsect that's like, this is going to piss some people off, but it's probably such a small number of people. Like Ethan, you and I would have played it for sure. But
I mean, we still will. It's just, not on the same couch.
Right. And honestly, we probably would have, we would have played it on the same couch, split screen co-op, if they had done it. And we still will play co-op, but not on the same couch, which is stupid. Like, that sucks, but I think that's like, people don't really want to do that anymore anyway, which really is like a bummer. You know what? I actually disagree with what I just said. I don't think that it's people don't want to do that. People are just willing to accept not doing that. And because I think that if more games started building split screen co-op or split screen multiplayer into their games, it would still be popular. And like, Tim, you know retro games even better than I do. And like, that couch multiplayer was a big deal.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, when we were kids, like, that's all we had. Like, we didn't really have internet. We had the beginnings of Xbox Live in the early 2000s. Like, before that, you had your N64, you had your PlayStation, and you were all just huddled around it on the floor, which made for great times, but nowadays not as practical, especially with COVID and the world that we're in.
Yeah.
So I cannot blame the fact that it has started to die off. It is a lot easier to just jump on with your buddies these days online than, hey, let's all find the time to meet up, drive over to this one person's house, play for a couple hours, and then have to drive all the way back home before going to bed.
Yeah.
It's just not as convenient anymore.
Yeah, crowding around, having half of a TV screen at most.
Yo.
Yeah, man, that's...
Like, I see the appeal. I still do. I still love my, like, couch co-op games. Like, I will still play Smash Bros. On my N64 with friends when they come over. But, I don't know. With games these days, it's just, the magic's not there anymore. At least not for me.
Yeah, I guess I kind of agree with that. It's very unfortunate. But And like I don't know how we would recapture the magic, right? I don't know how you get that era of gaming back or kind of create a renaissance of that era.
Mhm.
It's sort of just a thing of the past at this point because of the internet.
Mhm.
But Ethan, I also like what you say about, obviously they're going to continue to invest in Master Chief Collection because that's the one that people like. That's the one that is bearing fruit, right?
Yep. Yeah, every awesome update they release for Master Chief Collection is more players playing their game, more good press for them, which they desperately need.
Yeah, and so are we at the point where they abandon or start to wind down Halo Infinite and say, look, we planned on this being a really long, long-tailed game, 10-year platform. Didn't work out that way. We have a great platform that you guys all love. It's called Master Chief Collection. Guess what? It now includes Halo 5, all of the Halo 5 multiplayer suite.
Yeah, I feel like it would be really radical of them to do that. At earliest, I could see them potentially doing that if, like, in a year from now, Infinite is still a raging dumpster fire. Maybe doing that. But yeah, abandoning your current gen game when the next game isn't even, like, teased yet to go back to Master Chief Collection, I feel like would be really radical.
And that's the thing is, like, they start to wind it down and they say, we're gonna wind down, we're going back to Master Chief Collection. We made a mistake, we're pulling the ripcord, done with this. Now we're gonna start making proper Halo 6.
Oh.
Like, this was a fun experiment, didn't work out. Halo 6.
Yeah. Potentially. I mean, yeah, either do that or, like, instead of wind down, they just work on getting Infinite merged into Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that. Like, logistically, Tim, what do you think that, like, would you want to see that happen? Would you want to see it just become like a Halo kind of launcher?
I mean, I'd like to see that direction being taken. Like, eventually have all of Halo in one place, and then just like, oh, hey, new Halo. Here's the DLC. If you want to buy it, $60. There you go. Well, I mean, 70 these days because price increase. Still not used to that yet, but yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, Master Chief Collection was a good start. Like, I don't know why they didn't use that as a base, other than I mean, it being an old platform. It definitely needs updating, but. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that actually could possibly save Infinite. Like, it'd be like, all right, cool. I have the choice of going to play Halo 2. Oh, we're feeling Infinite today. All right, let's go play a few rounds.
Yeah.
And playlists, by the way, playlists are such a huge thing, and having Halo Infinite playlists or having Halo Infinite available to throw in your playlists with, your classics like Battle Creek or Snipers at the Pit or, all of that, like, that could potentially revitalize the Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Yeah. And yeah, I do really agree with the idea of, like, that seems like the smartest way to take Halo since you already have that base. I mean, like, I assume the logistical nightmare of getting all that code in there and getting that game to run inside Master Chief Collection. But at the same time, it's like, what you call it?
Oh, no, go ahead.
All right. But yeah, at the same time, just like having all those games in one place is fantastic because, yeah, then when you have a launch that isn't going as great as expected, like if Infinite were part of Master Chief Collection right now, it's like, oh man, like I'm kind of bored of all the Infinite content there is, but instead of me launching up the game and being like, oh, wait, there's nothing to do in this game and closing it, it's like, oh, damn, there's nothing to do in Infinite. Guess I'm going to play some Halo 2 or Halo 3 or Reach or something like that instead. But I'm still in the game.
Yeah, and I mean, they could even, like, spruce up, like, they could eventize Master Chief Collection and subsidize the content drought with older content because, Halo 5 never came to PC. And so bring Halo 5 into the Master Chief Collection, port it to PC, make that a big deal. Tim, I remember when Master Chief Collection was like slowly coming to Steam over the course of like several months. It was like, every 2 or 3 months a new Halo game would drop. And that was a really fun thing, right? And so do that one last time for Halo 5 and like like start to work Halo Infinite into the MCC to kind of, I guess, like Ethan, like you're saying, roll it into something that people like.
Mm-hmm.
To sort of dilute the bad taste and give people something to do.
Yep.
And then also, hey, we needed some extra time. We need an extra 3 months to get content ready for Halo Infinite. Let's get Halo 5 ported to PC, and that'll buy us some time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that Halo is obviously in a really rough spot. What were you going to say, Tim?
I think all we just talked about is absolutely a pipe dream too, because already they're stretched incredibly thin, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like setting a whole other part of the team to like, hey, get this working in Master Chief Collection is it's asinine, honestly. To think that they would have the resources to do that at this point when they're already struggling to get content out for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it does come down to like, okay, so what do they do? And like what can they do that is somewhat realistic? Because I agree, Tim, that they're not gonna put it into Master Chief Collection, but I don't think that they can I don't think that they can just shut it down either. Like realistically, what can they do? And I think that what they can do is a change of leadership.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean that or, as they're approaching, planning stage for the next Halo game, be like, okay, does it make sense to make this new Halo content into our supposed to be 10-year platform that is probably still a dumpster fire, or do we put it into Halo Master Chief Collection instead? And then, once that's in place, then we can, port Halo 5 and Infinite into Master Chief at whatever pace we want. Maybe.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. As they're approaching that planning stage, be like, okay, which of these two potential platforms does it make sense to put the new Halo in? Or do we start with a whole new platform?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. And then, like, where do you guys think that they go with the campaign from here? Because they obviously started to set something big up with the Endless. Do we ever see the Forerunners make a return, or the Prometheans? Do we get a proper Halo 6? Is Infinite Halo 6? Do we ever get a proper Halo 7? Like, what's going to happen with that?
Didn't they mention that they were making like DLC for the campaign at some point? I mean, we're probably not going to see it for 5 years, but
I don't think that they've officially announced that yet. Because if they had, I would be like, okay, well, that's cool. Maybe we'll get a different biome besides bland forest. Yeah, I don't think that that's confirmed.
Yeah, they may be biding their time.
No story DLC has been announced, though rumored. Okay.
And that's another thing is like, so Ethan, I agree with you about like allotting their time properly, right? But I kind of to a certain extent disagree. Well, I not disagree, but I think that they are working, they're trying to make priority decisions of, okay, where do we need to allot our time and resources? Yep. And I think that it is a misjudgment to not be trying to move forward faster with single player DLC. Like they need to be adding. Nobody buys. Well, okay, I'm not going to say nobody. I buy Call of Duty to play the campaign. That's it. I don't play the multiplayer. I just like playing the campaigns. They're fun. But I'm like one of the only. I bet there's like 10 of us, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, the other millions and like tens of millions of players are playing Call of Duty for multiplayer. That's not true about Halo. A lot of people play Halo for the story, and I think that 343's total neglect of the story and the lore and like continuing to support that and expand on that, especially when they set something relatively big up in Halo Infinite, I think that that's a big mistake.
Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings because, I mean, yeah, like you, like the campaign is the biggest part of Halo for me.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like there were some cool things teased in Infinite, but we've had cool things teased before and nothing done with them in previous 343 Halo games. So
No, they did it. They just did it off screen and didn't tell you about it.
yeah,
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's true.
Well,
Or they did it in Halo Wars 2.
Yeah, exactly. They like do stuff in like other media and like even like tease big things that are coming together from the other media into the games, and then it's like, oh wait, but no, this is nothing. Whatever. What you call it? But so yeah, basically my thinking on that is it's like, okay, yeah, they could throw more resources at the campaign, but that's not going to make the story better and their storytelling ability better.
Yeah.
Whereas putting more resources towards the multiplayer is going to result in a better multiplayer experience because all they need to do is create more content.
Yeah, I guess you're right because they do have the gameplay nailed. Like the gameplay is great.
Exactly.
They
come out with like 5 maps tomorrow or something like that, people would be pumped.
Yeah, I mean if they dropped like how many? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna Halo 2 map pack. Let's see. So the Halo 2 multiplayer map pack featured how many was it?
It was like 12.
Yeah, it was correctly. A lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wikipedia or Halopedia says 9. But yeah, I mean even if it was 9. Like if they dropped a map pack that was 9 maps tomorrow,
holy shit.
Everyone would go flocking back to it, right? We would be playing Halo tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, looking at the numbers here that I've been able to find, when it first launched in December, people were playing, there were about 250,000 players concurrent at a time. And as of like right now, at least the closest that I can find back on July 26th, 2,000 concurrent players.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Jesus. Is that cross-platform or what?
That looks to be cross-platform.
No. Is it cross-platform? It's not Steam data?
Okay, no, that is Steam data. Nope. That is
I mean,
data.
Still, Steam is like
here.
One of the biggest platforms for it.
Yeah. I mean, God, you've lost 99% of your player base.
In a matter of months.
Yeah, it has it. That's within half a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, and not exactly a great games as a service, huh?
Nope.
God. And I think another thing that could do them a lot of good is like they should have all hands on deck, get Forge out the door. Forge needs to be out right now. Because have you guys seen what the people in the test flight have done with Forge?
I have not, but I have seen what people have done with previous Forges.
Yep, same.
They have recreated certain areas from levels of like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, if I didn't know I was looking at Forge, I would have thought someone had shopped a Halo UI onto a Doom screenshot.
Damn.
It looked so good.
Yeah.
They can't, get the content out. Maybe let the fans get the content out. Like, They should be full steam ahead on getting the power into the hands of the fans to get the content out to other fans.
Yeah. If they could combine that with what they did with Halo 3, I forget the name of the playlists specifically, but like there were specifically playlists that it's like, hey, this playlist is just all filled with community made maps and shit like that. Just like get that system set up of like, okay, we've got a vetting team to like look at user generated content that's, highly rated or download or whatever. Get that shit into playlists. And then you've got, exactly, endless fresh content.
Yeah, I mean it's the Mario Maker situation, right? Like Mario Maker, like that. What was that game? It wasn't a game. It was just a way for people to create Mario levels, and that's exactly what people did. And like Mario Maker was one of Nintendo's most successful games in recent memory, and it was on the Wii U. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the fuck they should do with Halo. It's a depressing conversation. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Halo?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right Gravemind quote for it, but I can't.
Management's fucked. I hate it, but I understand the focus on just create more content for multiplayer. And maybe they can eventually bring Activision team members onto it and bring in some of their leadership, because that would be good.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here on Hard Reset this week. If you liked what you heard, make sure to leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you found us on. We will be back next week talking about our hot takes on gaming. So until then, reset.